I have a really good treat for you, my dear subscribers. We're going to watch a viral video from Twitter, and once you see it, you'll understand why it's so popular. It involves an interview of a 16-year-old by the name of Izzy Cook, who is the spokesperson for the School Strike for Climate in Wellington. So let's listen.
For example.
So we would have to apply to have like approved events to be able to fly for.
Well, that's one thing that you could look at doing.
Am I allowed to go to Fiji? Is that necessary?
In the current climate crisis, I don't think that that's necessary.
When was the last time you were on a plane?
I'm not sure. Maybe a few months ago, to be honest.
Where'd you go?
Fiji.
Izzy! Izzy! Don't you care about the climate, Izzy?
Of course I care about the climate.
Not enough. You went to... you went to Fiji. Izzy, come on, mate. Are you serious? Are you serious, Izzy?
No, it's pretty
Are you still
ironic.
there?
It is pretty ironic, but to be honest, it's not really a trip that I wanted to go on, but I can't really get out of it because my
Why'd you
parents wanted to
go? Why'd you go?
My parents wanted to go. I
Izzy!
didn't want to go.
How are you embarrassed that your parents did that to the planet and then forced you to do it as well?
Of course I'm not embarrassed.
Did you have a
You look
terrible
at the-
time?
Not really. I didn't have to do anything.
Izzy, I'm sorry. Mate, listen, you're such a champion. I think you've got a brilliant future ahead of you. And are you doing another strike soon?
Yeah, well, we'll look to.
Good. We'll talk to you again and might get you back on the show.
Now I can understand why Greta Thunberg never gave any interviews with people that contradicted her, never had debates, because this is what happens. And I gotta say, the interview was wholesome. I mean, Izzy herself started laughing, and it's quite obvious that the journalists did their homework. They probably did a little bit of digging and said, well, if she's such a climate activist, maybe we should emulate her life. Maybe we can all behave like her, and thus we can save the planet. But then they were like, Noni, Fiji desu ne. You know, like, it's not something not adding up. So, obviously, I do not blame Izzy for this. She is surrounded by parents and adults. Most importantly, her mother, which immediately had a statement. She listed with horror as her 16-year-old daughter had a phone conversation with someone who appeared to be bullying her. That was bullying, okay? Now, when I was a kid, bullying was something awful. I had my R2-D2 toy thrown into the toilet, and I got beaten up. See, that's the amount of labor that my bully had to perform in order to be called a bully. Nowadays, you can just have a friendly chat over the phone on a consensual interview and ask uncomfortable questions. I think like my bully would be jealous. He would be like, well, back then, I had to put so much labor into my bullying and now it's so fucking easy. So yes, apparently she got bullied, laughing at her. I think that she was laughing with her because Izzy was laughing as well. And talking over her. Journalists talking over guests. Yes, that is very unprofessional. I think any journalist that talks over a guest, they need to get fired. No, unironically, everywhere, from every publication. As soon as she got off the call, I demanded to know who the hell was speaking to my child in this way. Ms. Cook said that her daughter, who is a spokesperson for School Strike for Climate in Wellington, had some experience dealing with the media, but she wasn't prepared for Heather du Plessis-Allan. Commentators like Du Plessis-Allan don't give a shit about climate change, she wrote. They don't care that the Arctic is melting 4 times at the expected rate or that we are seeing more and more extreme weather. Lady, you don't care! You don't care! You went to Fiji! To Fiji! And the ice cap is melting and you went to Fiji! This is what it means to be an environmentalist, doesn't it? It's like, you know what? From now on, I, myself, will be the best environmentalist ever. Chat, listen to me. Do not, under any circumstance, go to London, alright? The ice caps are melting. The ecosystems are dying. Now, I'm going to take a break from 4th to 7th. I'm going to London, right? But you guys, you stay home. Climate, very important, right? So in other words, do what they do, right? Like, have the speech. Climate, you know, like, this is the face. Look at my face, right? This is how you need to behave when you talk about, like, climate, serious. I don't know, like, but more people should. You should. We should. We must. More taxes. But then you behave like they behave. It. You go to Fiji. You travel in expensive places. You turn on the air conditioning. You buy a new gaming PC. That is what a true modern environmentalist is like. I'm looking at their actions. This is what every single one of them is doing. So, as long as you flap your mouth and the correct words come out, you're good to go. Other than that, you can do whatever you want, right? Like, you don't have to turn off the air conditioning. You don't have to, right? By the way, is it just me, or is this every single young environmentalist doing? They talk about how, yes, you know, the world is ending and we need to do more. And then they have smartphones. They have gaming PCs. They have air conditioning. They go to Fiji. They do all of these things. And they're the ones that are talking about, oh, we need to do more. I am willing to bet that if the moment someone would come into their house and confiscate all of the electronics that are designed for entertainment, so the ones that are required to live, they leave them alone. But like the ones that are designed for entertainment, their big screen TVs, their iPhones, like all of that, if they were to take them away, all of a sudden they wouldn't be environmentalists. All of a sudden they would be like, okay, well, the world is ending, so what? Kind of like a smoker. You tell them, hey, you need to stop smoking. You might get cancer. I don't care. By the way, another talking point is that everyone is horrified that she's 16. She's 16. How can you talk like that with a 16-year-old person? Look, pick and choose. Because I understand what you're doing. Like, I can see your game. I can see your game. On one hand, you want 16-year-olds to be taken seriously because they're enlightened, they're smart, they're much better than the average person, right? So they should, like Greta Thunberg, talk with world leaders, talk with NGOs, right? And they should be taken seriously. But the moment you criticize them, oh, no, they're kids. How dare you? It's like, look, pick and choose. Either they're mature enough and worthy to be speaking on radio and speaking on television, and if that's the case, then they should be treated as adults, which means to answer questions, right? Because that's not bullying. Like, asking someone a question and getting a person to defend their position is not bullying. I'm sorry. I don't know what planet you're from, but that's just called being firm in your positions and being able to defend your positions. Like, if the media comes to DeSantis and asks DeSantis a question, that's not bullying. Unless you live in the world of La La Land. Unless you're a leftist activist, which is colonizing La La Land. I know that leftists are against imperialism, but recently they seem dead set on colonizing the La La Land. Anyway, the whole concept of a 16-year-old being a child. First of all, when I was 16, I was in high school, and I would consider myself to have access to more information than I have now. Because I had to study hyper-complex numbers, I had to study chemistry, I had to study history, geography, math, English. In fact, I would say that I knew more back then than I know now. Like, if you ask me now about trigonometry and quantum physics, I probably don't know, but at the time I did. And I was supposed to know all of those things in order to get good grades at high school and go into a university. And at 16, if I were to tell one of my colleagues that he is a child, he would throw hands. Because teenagers, they're trying to grow up, and calling them children is insulting. At least that was how it was in Romania during my time. I don't know how things are now. It seems to be a little bit more different, but definitely the tactic seems to be to have adults push forward children so that the children parrot what the adults are saying, and then they are immune from criticisms. Because yes, I mean, you can't argue with this girl who was taken by her parents on a trip to Fiji. Right? But at the same time, why is this girl on national radio? Why is she driving the conversation about something? You can't have both of them, right? Like, either you want her to be taken seriously, in which case you should be able to ask questions and you should be able to put her on a debate with someone that disagrees with her ideas. Or, well, she's a child, so she doesn't have anything to say until she grows up. Let me know what you guys think, though, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.